To bring a fictional character to life on screen, one must be portrayed by an actor. This can be a standard acting role, a voiceover performance, or as you'll soon see, endless ways in between. A notable fact about fictional characters is that they can be played by multiple actors. Usually, this is to identify a new version of the character, complete with its own continuity and universe to surround a fresh adaptation. Famously, we've had many live-action Batman films, with each actor taking on the role in their own universe. You can easily decipher which collection of films belong to which universe based on who's portraying the leading Dark Knight, sans a few exceptions here and there. The same can generally be said for all other live-action heroes, again bearing some exceptions. Dubbing international media can also involve multiple actors. Famously, Dragon Ball Z has had many attempts to get the series dubbed based on the studio producing the adaptations, each using their own cast for their version of the series. Each dub constitutes its own version of Goku, as they are all dubbing the same footage in their own ways and script.
This is great! Not only have they become bigger, they're faster too! Bring it on!
This just figures. Not only have these guys grown, but they're faster too! Come and get me!
Opposed to each actor playing the same version of Goku across a linear timeline. Sonic the Hedgehog has had roughly 13 different versions of the character across video games, television, and films, with 11 different English actors involved. But a new actor does not always equal a separate incarnation, and this can happen for many reasons. The first that comes to mind is when an actor is replaced when dropping out of a project. They may want to move on, have scheduling conflicts, or were fired. But in the context of the media, the characters pretend that they are the same person with no notable differences, although it may be complemented with a meta joke or two just to soften the transition.
That's not Greg. That's a completely different person.
And Arthur Reed from Arthur has had up to 15 different actors since his debut in 1992. This also works the other way around, as a new actor may be hired to portray an older version of a younger character, be it a flash forward or time travel shenanigans. In some scenarios, a character may actually need more than one person in order for them to work, such as with Rocket, who is voiced by Bradley Cooper, but is motion captured by Sean Gunn, or Audrey 2, who took around 21 different puppeteers to operate, including a vocal performance by Levi Stubbs. Although new actors are sometimes hired for the same character not out of necessity, but for the appeal of the story, or simply just for fun. While Tom Kenny has proven time and time again that he has quite the vocal range when singing, SpongeBob may temporarily be portrayed by a different actor when singing if it fits the mood of the song, or for subversion.
All just because I ripped my pants.
I know I shouldn't mope around, I shouldn't curse, but the pain feels...
Different actors may be used to surprise audiences as well, such as Patrick Warburton providing the voice of Royal Pain in Sky High.
How I ever lost to a fool like you, I'll never know. Now prepare to be pacified.
Her identity is later revealed to be a fellow student of the school, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead when the mask is off.
Will may have told you I'm the head of the homecoming committee.
There's also story reasons, like when shows tackle the favorable brain-swapping storyline and have actors pretend to be each other for an episode.
Look at my hands. They're white.
Mine appear to be African American.
You can just say black, Gray.
Or when one character shapeshifts into another character, the actor must emulate the former's performance. Or if you let yourself expand your suspension of disbelief, a whole new actor will be used just for a character wearing a mask.
As am I. Gino Linetti.
The definition of the same character can also be stretched quite a bit. For example, in the Rick and Morty Season 2 episode Autoerotic Assimilation, Rick has a brief relationship with Unity, a creature that exists as a hive mind, overtaking an entire planet's population to share a single consciousness. Unity is primarily voiced by Christina Hendricks, whose body was originally the president of the planet in question.
This place is a mess. Oh, it's cool. The part of me that's the cleaning lady is coming on Friday.
But when embedded into Unity, all the citizens of the planet are technically the same character, and between the mind-controlled bodies are voiced by 5 additional people.
After I become a Type 1 civilization,
I'll have access to countless planets and species.
One by one, I will unify them, and I will be what the single-minded once called a god.
Thus making Unity one character portrayed by 6 different actors for over a dozen different versions of itself. Alternatively, in the case of James Bond, some theorize that Bond is just a code name given to special agents taking on the position of the British spy. But even if that were true, and all the films take place in the same timeline, the characters guised as James Bond themselves are not the same human being. Personally, I find the concept of many actors portraying one version of a character very interesting, and it begs the question, which fictional character has had the most actors performing a single iteration? From what I can gather, it comes down to two choices: the Doctor from Doctor Who, and Ben Tennyson from the Ben 10 franchise. All of these actor changes mentioned beforehand generally go unnoticed, or at least have no significance. Still Ben. But between the two, which one had the most actors? The more I look into this topic, the more it seems like these two are the best contenders for this analysis. But if you think of anyone else that can compete with this multi-manned duo, I'm very eager to hear, so please comment down below. To decipher this, let's tally up the actors from each character throughout their timeline. But of course, we have some rules. They must all be from a singular iteration. Expanded and non-canon media is not valid, nor are alternate versions, hypotheticals, or reboots. Also, if a version of that character is retconned, it no longer counts either. We are strictly going from the end result of their prime timeline selves. Let's start with the Doctor, as he's perhaps more well known in terms of being played by multiple actors. The Doctor was first portrayed by William Hartnell since his debut in 1963. But as Hartnell's health started failing him, the concept of regeneration was introduced in the series to replace him with Patrick Troughton in 1966. Rather than ignoring the actor change, or having Troughton imitate Hartnell's portrayal, Doctor Who embraced the concept of regeneration and had the Doctor openly be different from his previous self in appearance, voice, attitude, and other nuances. Yet he is still the exact same character. Every time the Doctor regenerates, he is transformed into a new body, but still retains the same memories and core values, within reason. This allowed the series to have longevity and survive without a core cast, and gives them leeway to evolve their main character however they see fit, while still having the right to call him the same character. Throughout the classic run, the Doctor was portrayed by Jon Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann, finishing the classic era with 8 actors as the primary version of the Doctor, primary being the key word, as there are still notable additions, but we'll get to that soon enough. When the series was revived in 2005, all of the previous serials were still canon to the new wave of Doctor Who. Christopher Eccleston picks up the role as the 9th Doctor, but thereafter regenerates into David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, and the upcoming Ncuti Gatwa to lead the series, landing us at 14 different actors. But because Doctor Who is a story of time travel, alternative timelines, and endless cases of plot twists, subversions, and sometimes full-on retcons, this allows the Doctor to be portrayed by many other actors outside of his main regeneration cycle. Running through these as briefly as we can, we first visit the initially controversial but eventually concrete versions of the Doctor that predate Hartwell's character in universe, from the 1976 episode The Brain of Morbius. Here, 8 additional faces are shown, played by various crew members as throwaway incarnations for the sake of a montage, but count as definitive versions of the Doctor nonetheless. For the 1983 The Five Doctors special, the first Doctor was portrayed by Richard Hurndall, as Hartwell passed away in 1975. John Guyler also voices the Doctor twice, once in the Planet of Giants reconstruction for the DVD, and a cameo in The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special. In New Who, it was revealed there was another version of himself that he kept secret between his 8th and 9th main incarnations, who was played by John Hurt, setting up the aforementioned anniversary special. The first Doctor's child self was shown on screen by Michael Jones in a flashback during the 12th Doctor's tenure, and David Bradley also took on the role for a collection of specials as Hurndall has also passed, the original replacement for Hartwell. Joe Martin, otherwise known as the Fugitive Doctor, was also a previously unseen incarnation of the Doctor, similar to John Hurt in all of the Brain of Morbius faces. And in the same vein, 7 other secret incarnations of the Doctor as a child were revealed in the Timeless Child storyline. We end with 35 definitive actors who have played the Doctor over its near 60-year run. But a well-versed Whovian is probably itching for me to mention a few other exceptions, but due to their nature, I'm giving you the option whether or not to count them as follows. The Watcher, while his true nature is is debatable, is at least somehow another version of our Doctor, and was portrayed by Adrian Gibbs. The Valeyard, an evil version of the Doctor, was played by Michael Jaston, while a Matrix projection of him was Jeffrey Hughes. Toby Jones plays a darker psychic manifestation of the Doctor in the 2010 episode Amy's Choice. Evan McCabe played a Matrix construct of the Timeless Child, aka the Doctor, to conceal the truth about Time Lord regeneration. Two other unnamed actors were also older and younger versions of that construct. Sacha Dhawan, the most recent actor to portray the Doctor's rival, the Master, forced the Doctor to regenerate into him, and thus got a chance to play in the role as well. Should we choose to use any or all of these exceptions, we can conclude that the Doctor has been played by up to 43 different actors, all embodying the exact same character in a variety of ways, with endless new incarnations potentially to come. Now, dipping into the animated world, we have Ben Tennyson and his slew of alien alter egos. Ben Tennyson spoke his first words as Tara Strong in the 2005 classic series. After finding the Omnitrix, an alien watch that lets him transform into 10 alien creatures, he's outfitted with 10 additional looks, powers, and most relevantly, voices. These voices include Steve Bloom as both Heat Blast and Ghost Freak, D. Bradley Baker as Wildmutt and Stinkfly, and Richard Stephen Horvitz as Grey Matter. The rest of his playlist, the official term for a group of 10 Omnitrix transformations, is rounded off with Jim Ward as Accelerate and Diamond Head, Fred Tatasciore as Ripjaws, and perhaps the most iconic alien of the original 10, Richard McGonagall, as Forearms, with Tara also providing the voice of Upgrade, who speaks with Ben's regular voice. In the first season alone, Ben has been voiced by 7 different actors striving to emulate the brash and immature personality of the 10-year-old superhero. This is already outside of the standard, as typically only one actor plays a version of a character at a time, with changes used for significance or production reasons. But this main character alternates between 7 different people casually, usually about 4 per episode, with the season 1 finale showcasing every corner of Ben Tennyson's shape-shifting capabilities. As the series progressed, Ben unlocked more transformations. Some of them are still voiced within the first pool of actors, but the cast is also expanded with the likes of Dave Winenberg as Upchuck, and Rob Paulson as the Animaniac-inspired Ditto. Surprisingly, some actors were brought on board to voice an alien that would only appear for a single episode. Richard Green as Snarrow and Michael Dorn as Frankenstrike. This finishes off the classic series with 11 different actors as Ben Tennyson. As we pivot towards Alien Force, Ben has been aged up 5 years, now a teenager in high school. As puberty insists, his voice has also gone through a change, with Tara handing the leading role to Yuri Lowenthal, who will go on to voice this iteration of Ben for the next couple hundred episodes. Ben also gained 10 new transformations, with all of Ben's initial Alien Force playlist voiced by one actor, who carried over from the previous series, D. Bradley Baker. This was done to create a sense of unity between all of Ben's aliens. Well, all except for one. Ben's 10th Alien Force transformation, Alien X. This one is a tricky case. Alien X is also still Ben Tennyson, but as he is this otherworldly godlike creature, he has multiple personalities. Inside of Alien X's head, Ben shares those commands with Bellicus, voiced by Kevin Conroy, and Serena, voiced by Vicki Lewis. Although it's arguable that they are still Ben Tennyson, they also have their own independent thoughts, even when Ben isn't currently transformed, and can be charged as separate beings in Galactic Court. On the other hand, they are both still 1/3 of Alien X, with Ben being the final piece, and all exist within Alien X's singular entity. For the sake of playing fair, I will leave it up to you if you'd like to count Bellicus and Serena as voices of Ben Tennyson for this list. But spoiler alert, they are each played by 3 different actors across the upcoming series, with Jeff Bennett and Eric Bauza as Bellicus, and Tara Strong and Kimberly Brooks as Serena. While D knocks it out of the park as the other 9 transformations, even taking on a 10th of his own with Lodestar, and replacing the previous actors when some of Ben's old aliens are re-unlocked. There is one transformation that stands out from the rest, which is John DiMaggio as Wrath. Jeff Bennett also sneaks in with his brief role as Ghost Freak, putting us at 14 actors so far. By Omniverse, Ben can barely keep up with his expanding arsenal of aliens, but the show cuts him no slack and continues piling on the DNA database until until Cartoon Network is drowning in profitable merchandise, I mean extraterrestrial heroes. I mentioned briefly that Dee ended up replacing the classic series cast when older aliens returned, but to give Dee a break from carrying most of the show's vocal talent on his impressively inhuman vocal cords, the series diversifies their actors by letting some new blood take over his previous roles. For example, David Kaye is now cast as Cannonbolt, replacing Dee, who previously replaced Fred Tatasciore.
I can't believe I'm a new hero. Well, as long as they're not as worthless as this one is.
What can I say? I'm feeling nostalgic. How's it going, fellow aliens? Nice weather we're having here on Earth, huh?
But just to reiterate, even though Cannonbolt has now been portrayed by 3 different actors, he is indeed still the same canonical version of the alien, who is in part an extension of Ben Tennyson. Dave also has a few other roles, including some new ones, but let's meet the rest of the cast. Eric Bauza now enters the Omniverse with a handful of voices, most notably the likes of Diamond Head and Grey Matter. Kevin Michael Richardson is Blitzwolfer and Snarrow. Paul Eiding is Eye Guy. Corey Burton is Brainstorm, and last but not least, Bumper Robinson as Terraspin, Blocks, and a few others. By the end of Omniverse, Ben Tennyson has been portrayed by 20 different actors across the Prime timeline. Since we've already tallied up Tara Strong, Jeff Bennett, and Eric Bauza in the other roles, if you'd like to count Alien X, which includes Kevin Conroy, Vicki Lewis, and Kimberly Brooks, the total will be sitting at 23. Some fans may be asking about Ben's future, as time travel plays a big role in the series too. And since Ben ages from Tara Strong into Yuri Lowenthal, shouldn't Ben 10,000 count as well? This is also a section I feel should be optional for the sake of decorum. Since Ben's future is always changing, and the crew has stated many times that Ben's future is never solidified, it would be hard to confidently include any of these Ben 10,000s, since including alternative timelines defeats the point I'm trying to make. But like Alien X, I will mention them anyways and leave them up to you if you'd like to include them. The first Ben 10,000 is voiced by Fred Tatasciore, who has already been accounted for. However, he comes with his own unique addition of Tom Kane as Arctiguana, one of his aliens. The timeline then changes, giving us our second Ben 10,000, who is voiced by Sean Donnellan, and our third and final Ben 10,000 is voiced by Judd Nelson. Technically, each version of Ben's future was canon until the timeline was altered, so you can add anywhere from 1 to 3 more counters on this list depending on how you want to look at it. We've finalized our analysis of Ben Prime with a confident 20 actors across the series, with potential to go up to 26. With the odds stretched as far as they can go, we can compare the Doctor's 43 different actors to Ben Tennyson's 26. However, this is in actors only, not with distinct incarnations. The Doctor's number goes down when you account that multiple actors have played the same incarnations of the Doctor without its intention to be another version, like the first Doctor alone having 4 different actors. And when Ben transforms, his incarnations can expand up to roughly 70-something transformations, as many actors portray multiple Omnitrix aliens. Even after a good portion of Dee's roles were replaced in Omniverse, he still stuck around to voice 16 transformations in Ben's arsenal, which is already more primary regenerations the Doctor has had. It seems the Doctor may have the advantage in the race to collect the most actors for one person, as due to its live-action nature, each version of the character must be played by a completely new person in order to identify it as another regeneration. This isn't always true, as David Tennant has also played the Metacrisis Doctor, and the upcoming new regeneration of the Doctor, which is currently unknown how this is possible. Despite being live action, one actor can go on to play multiple versions of the Doctor, but typically it's one per regeneration. And when you take into account international dubs of each series, these numbers easily break into the hundreds. All have their own quirks on how the characters are dubbed, and are not interchanged one-to-one with how their English voice actors are chosen. For example, a single actress, Ana Lucia, portrayed Gwen Tennyson across all 5 shows, while in English, Gwen was voiced by 3. However, in another Latin American dub, voices were interchanged based on who was available, with no regard for consistency. Honestly, we can go back and forth on the semantics of different actors versus different incarnations, but I believe today's general result is a good standard. But, did I miss anything? Are any of these statements incorrect? And is there perhaps another character I may not have considered that trumps everything I mentioned before? Please let me know down in the comments below. This is is a topic that intrigues me a lot, so I'll be checking the comments pretty closely for this upload, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Until then, I hope to see some of you at MomoCon 2023, where I will be doing live drawings with the Tank Gang. And as always, keep it fizzy.
When the truth don't work, you start telling lies. Thought you were down to ride, you weren't down to ride. Caught switching, you were picking sides. Don't blink, caught slipping like a slip and slide. I was shooting dice till I got a nosebleed. Money on the floor, can't get cold feet. Took a L, should've put it in the offering.